Don't you dare. Pick a time. How about never tomorrow? And I'll just do it manually. Fine. Okay, let's mute my Twitch tab. Wow, today I'm feeling very, a little off my game, to be perfectly honest. Here we go. Cool, looks like I am live, yeah. Let me do the social media stuff. Cool. So I need to get back to that. Cool. And yeah, I think that's enough shameless self-promotion. Hey, Tesla. It is like 12:15 Pacific. So whatever that translates to your time, that's the time it is. Okay, enough of this nonsense. Let's get going. So hey, hi, I'm Joshua. Today is May 17th, 2017. And today I'm working on my video game Delver. Today is a bonus stream. I do a regular scheduled stream every Sunday at noon. And today I found some time in my schedule to do a stream, so I figured, why not? I'll just work on some Delver art and chill and just talk about stuff as I go. So yeah, I'm just going to jump right into it. Maybe. Hey, to Johnny111. How are you? Sorry, I guess my computer keeps wanting to restart for updates, and I usually have all my dev environment stuff just kind of up all the time. Delver, new dungeon theme. Okay, so I have any? No, I don't have any uncommitted changes. I know that Chad has been working on the develop branch, so let me pop over there. Let me do a sync, and let me pull that stuff into the new dungeon theme. I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Cool. Let's take a quick look at the history. To know he's been making some changes to the editor. Maybe testing out new tile editor selection mode. Let's play around with that real quick before I merge that into my branch. I'm just kind of see what he means new mode. Sometimes these changes come down down the chute or pipe or trough or wherever changes come from, and at least Chad gave me a heads up on this one. So what is different about tile selection? Let me cheat and look at the changes, and Is it mainly dealing with carving stuff? So usually you can do something like this and pull this up and say pull this down. And then my new selection off here should have the same, it does have, still has the same dimensions, which is good. And similarly, whoa, what's that all about? You see what the cursor's doing there? I'm not quite sure what it's doing. Weird. Okay, so that only does that on yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so what's happening is now there seems to be, so you used to be able to, you'd select a tile in a room and you'd hit enter to carve and backspace to fill. And now it looks like if it's already carved, you can kind of, if you slide up and down the wall, it looks like you can set the floor height. So if I want to set the floor height there, I can hit enter and it will set it there, which is a new behavior, but it looks like I can't go the opposite direction because there's no wall to collide with, right? So it looks like, again, if I wanted to make it the full mount, I could aim it at the origin plane floor. Huh. Yep. Cool. So Chad is saying aim at a wall, so my assumptions are correct. Yeah. That's actually pretty cool, Chad. I think that's an interesting. Can I do shift to flip it and do the ceiling? Okay, so it looks like it's only the floor. I think typically, like if I want to flatten stuff, let's say I have two angles here. If I hit F, that will flatten the floor, and Shift F will flatten the ceiling. And then similarly here, F and Shift F. I'm not sure if Shift should flip that or not. Maybe it does. No, it doesn't. Control drag will select blocks of that height too. Interesting. Okay, so that's cool. Maybe to give you a little bit better control of how tall things are, which is nice. Yeah, I think this is a good change. I don't think it's going to really disrupt people's workflow. So Delve Edit is the tool that we have. So we've written our own engine, or Chad, cutting in there in chat, is the main developer of Delver. I am the primary art guy only, I guess. I also do a little bit of coding. We share like level design tasks and game design tasks, but yeah, so Chad wrote the engine and the editor. So yeah, so it does exactly what we want it to and nothing more. Tesla Coil says, when I get my new computer, I should also get myself a dual monitor setup. I actually already do. I already have a dual monitor setup, so off on. I have my Twitch stuff lives on my other screen, so I already do have a dual monitor setup. My MacBook is powerful enough to drive multiple displays, thankfully. Mostly it's about just being able to play current games and also kind of keep myself abreast with current technology and hopefully future-proof myself for another few years. Right now my laptop is already 4 years old and it's starting to show. I'm ordering, I'm building a new desktop. Yikes, I haven't done that in probably 15 years. I'm sure I still know what I'm doing. But a few parts have begun to trickle in, so hopefully maybe by next Sunday I'll have it. This coming Sunday, actually, maybe I'll have it put together. Maybe not. Just depends on how all that stuff arrives. Like I ordered it all in one big batch, but everything's shipping from different vendors, so it's going to come in piecemeal. Cool. So yeah, this is just kind of I've just been kind of previewing the changes to Delve Edit, which are small, but I think they're actually pretty darn cool. I also have to keep that in mind when making stuff. Yeah, it'd probably make making stairs a little bit easier, just because you can kind of see what you're going to get before you commit to it. Like you want to line them up on the texture and stuff. Cool. All right. Let me see. Yeah, Tesla says they built their current computer, but it only took them 2 months to get working. Yeah, in a previous lifetime, I used to do IT work, so I'm somewhat confident that I can get things cobbled together in a relatively timely manner. And also, the internet is has lots more answers than it did 15 years ago, so that's also helpful. So I'm working. Oh, this is the develop branch, and I think it's in a stable enough spot. I'll go ahead and merge that into my my new dungeon theme. Also, it's good to merge in every so often. So when I go back to submit a pull request to merge this back into develop, it's not really off uh, far out of sync or out of step with the main development branch. Cool. So now I should be on new dungeon theme. I have the new editor stuff. Let's fire up the editor and look at the new dungeon theme I'm working on. And I may pop over to Blender today and do some more prop development. I still need to focus on large forms and work my way down. And I always get I think everybody falls into the trap of wanting to work on detail because detail is cool, but it's better to have the large problems solved first before you start going into detail. So this is what I've got. I have these, so it's new textures and new meshes. I also I've been working on getting this procedural system dropping windows in, but right now they're kind of not where I want them. But up here, this is a good example of the windows can either be boarded up or they can be barred, and it kind of chooses that at random. You all right, Sammy? Okay. Hey, Axelatine. Thanks for the host. I appreciate it. Cool. Yeah. So let's for the time being, let's table some of the pursuit the generated, because I'd love to get. So the ultimate goal is how these windows up here are placed. I would like to have the generator place them as well. Right now, the generator plops them on the floor, and the collision is kind of messed up. And I want to straighten that out, but maybe not today. Maybe I'll just work on art. I want to work on big scale art stuff, just so I can hopefully get a better feel of what the new dungeon is going to look like without these silly windows popping up everywhere. So that's in our gen info. So if I go to dungeon, and I think section.dat should have the definition for gen info. Nope. No, it's the info.dat. There we go. Yeah, window on wall. I think I can just bump this chance down to 0, and that should do what I want. So now if I hit play, yeah, there we go. So the windows in this other room will still be there because I manually placed them, but the other ones won't just start decorating the walls, which is fine by me. I kind of like this little setup I have here with these two rooms are kind of separated by this dropped ceiling. I might emulate that in Blender and start just kind of blocking out bigger props. So this is looks like a 3x5. Yeah, 3x5 and another 3x5 with a little thing in the middle. So let's fire up Blender and start just kind of quickly blocking this in. Okay, so I guess I should have just, since it had the developer props, I should just open that up because that's what I wanted, right? There we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and if you look at some of my other, I have my, let's look at the temple scene. I think is the best example of this, where I built out a kind of a fake temple room, and I kind of decorated it with props, trying to get a feel for what the temple area would look like before we started committed on making rooms for it. So I'm going to do something similar for the new dungeon area. I think I did something similar for the cold, just trying to block it out, get a feel for what props are needed. Kind of like these little things. I'm not sure how realistic they are, but I might pull that into the new dungeon area. We'll see. Cool. So let's pop back to the dungeon refresh tile set, and I think I have on one of these layers. I just have the textures. So what I do is I go to top view, orthographic. I create a plane. I put the textures on it, and then I chop up the plane in just to nicely kind of fit the grid and also to fit the texture sheet. So what I can do is I can say select let's just select all of these. I'm probably going to need them. So I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate, P to separate my selection. Now I have just this chunk I've created that's by itself. I'm going to move it to a new layer. I guess for the next version of Blender 2.8, layers are going away, and some of the stuff is going to work differently. So I've been trying to wrap my head around that. It'll be cool when it gets here. So what I'm going to do is just try to block out a quick. Here, let's do this. Let's duplicate and do the same things. Separate it by selection. Let's go to edit mode. Let's go to vertex. Let's Shift S. Cursor selected. We're going to set the origin there to the 3D cursor. Then we're going to Alt G to clear out the location. Minus y minus 3. I can really quickly just throw on an array modifier. We want a 3x5 room, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's throw another array modifier on top of that. And we're just going to change the axis from X to the Y. And there we go. I think we can just apply. Now these are all real. Go back into face mode. I'm just going to kind of quickly try to block together dy1. That should be the middle separating part there. I think it's only one tall, so let me Shift Z 1. Get Z1. I actually turned on my snaps to increment. Control Shift N to flip the face normals. I have back face culling turned on so I can see what way it's facing. That's good. 1, 2, 3. I have 6 instead of 5. Did I do that right? Not, it's a quick fix. There we go. Okay, and then let me grab, say, this trim, duplicate, P, separate it, 7. I'm just going to Shift C and then Shift C centers your view, but also moves the cursor back to the origin. And then I can make sure I can get this and kind of move it back to there, and then I can set the origin to the 3D cursor since it's already positioned correctly. Edit mode, or rotate X 90. Get Z 0.5. There we go. Get Y minus 0.5. Get Y minus 1. Get Y minus 0. There we go. 50Y X1. And then Shift R to repeat. That's another way to do it, I suppose. Then I can grab all of these. Shift D Z1. Then over here I can just get Y32. I'm just going to try to quickly block out what this should look like. I think in the editor these are actually, it might be 3 units tall. I think so. So this is, I think it's roughly 3. Yeah, or 3-ish. Yeah, it's all very approximate here. So maybe I'll just have to learn to live with that. Axelotine says, out of curiosity, what do I use for my pixel art? I use Photoshop and I use Pixel Edit, and I even do some pixel art here in Blender in the texture paint mode. Just depends what I'm trying to solve. A Shift D Y minus 7, and then flip the normals on that. And actually, let's go ahead and make these 3 tall. Okay. Okay, let's just duplicate that. Let's rotate by 9. Nope, let's rotate it at the origin by 90. Cool. And then get Y. Nope. Get X5. There we go. Shift D, Y -1, Shift R. Let's hit C to do like a brush selection. I'll just select all those. Then again, Shift D, X -5, and then Control Shift N to flip the normals. Okay, this is looking closer. What I want is that separating partition. So I'm just going to select all of these here. And Shift D, Y -4. And then Shift D, Y -1. Hit Y1. Flip the normals again. You should be getting closer to looking like that room-ish. I think I do have like a half wall size stuck in the geometry. There we go. So I think this is like a half. That's all right. I can do that. Let me see. Sorry, again, when I pop in between like Delve Edit and Blender, the view manipulation keys are different and my brain breaks. Maker Images says yellow. Hey, Maker Images, how are you? Shift D, Y, X -3. DX1. Switch that. Shift D, rotate. There we go. Yep, that's looking closer. In Blender, you can hit Shift F to enter fly mode, and then hit Tab to turn on gravity. And I think my scale is off. Yeah, I think it's interesting because all of so one Blender unit equals one Delver unit. Oh man, yeah. For a while there, when I was still working at Microsoft, we ended up doing some React Native development, which was interesting. Okay. What I want to do, I'm going to get Z 0.5, and then I'm going to just bring these all down. So move them by -1, and then I'm just going to hit W, remove doubles, and then I can just cut using Control R just to do a edge cut, and I'm just chopping. And by default, it goes right to the middle, so I can just chop all of those in half, and then delete those faces. Yeah, the thing is even though Delver units are one-to-one with Blender units, the Blender first-person controller expects things to be twice that. So if I scale everything up by 2, now if I enter fly mode and you hit Tab, you get a somewhat accurate like first-person controller that kind of gives me an idea what things would look like. But it's just kind of a pain to like scale it up and scale it down because I always forget, and then I import my assets like 2x into Delver, which is kind of obnoxious, but it is a helpful thing to do every once in a while. I can scale it back down. Let's just hit period to view selected, which kind of helps. Basically, it sets the point your camera orbits about. So sometimes your camera can get this weird. Like it can like focus on something way off in the distance, and your rotation feels weird. Yeah, man, writing Delver in JavaScript would be a crazy thing to do. But yeah, for me, I'm pretty much I'm pretty much, I don't know, like language agnostic. I can program in whatever. It doesn't really bug me too much. Okay, so we got this, and then I think let me go grab. Actually, let me make sure these are all. Okay, let me just join them. Edit mode A, W, remove doubles. Okay, cleaned out 392 verts. That's good. Let me think. Get rid of some of these faces because we'll never see them. It doesn't really matter because this is just like a little model or a mock-up. Now I can go back over here. Yeah, let's grab this. Let's duplicate it and let's move it into our little mock-up scene over here. I think I have these kind of. Hide that. Rotate Z90. My snaps are an increment, so I should be able to snap this into place more or less. Go back to orthographic view. Get Y5. There we go. Cool. Yeah. So that's all right, and I did intentionally design this doorway to be 1 unit wide, so it's pretty easy to make like halls without it like making the doorway even more narrow than it needs to be. UV editing isn't so bad. It's just tedious. And then there are some tools that make it easier than other tools. I do realize some 3D editors are a bear to use. I think I also have these. Where are my wood? Yeah, here's these big wood things. Let's go ahead and move these over to the mockup as well. So just again duplicating and moving layers. There we go. Let me zoom out a little bit further because your grid snaps in Blender are dependent on like your zoom. So if I can see the small grid, it'll snap to that. But if I zoom out to where only so I can see the big grid, then it'll snap to that. So it's something to keep in mind. Just I guess a little Blenderism. So, and rotate 180. Yeah, and you also need to figure out some like this texture doesn't align perfectly. I need to figure out how to address that. I think I was doing something like X. One. Again, just trying to mimic the look and feel of my mock-up. Again, I think playing around with like kind of the atomic size of things in Delver does help. Having geo that's not so tiny kind of gives it a little bit more chunky, weighty feel, which is what I like, which is what I'm going for. Real quick, let me just. Nope, not what I wanted to do. I'm just going to combine that. And Delver found this weird height where this actually works out okay. Again, I was just playing around with kind of these weird configurations. Like these beams are kind of like supporting the dungeon. Moore asks, are you prototyping in the editor and then going back to Blender to make the final model? So what I'm doing is I'm making a mock-up in Blender, and then I will make a series of props, and then I'll export the props individually, and then in the editor I can pull the props in. and everything should be good. It's just it's a little bit faster for me to work entirely in Blender, and then pull the props in and start building rooms later. You know, Delver, the engine is pretty good about like hot loading stuff. So you can hit you can bring up the debug menu and you can hit refresh, and that will reload the models and the textures and a lot of the data definitions and stuff like that. So it's really cool and useful. But it's easier for me just to work in one program and then pop over to the other and just kind of because right now I'm still trying to figure out what I want this space to even look and feel like. Just quickly put in a ceiling. So I'm just manually typing in these transforms. So I'm just duplicating stuff and typing in transforms. Nothing really magical. I just, because I know all the dimensions of the textures and the props, I can just kind of work that way. So this is kind of a one-to-one, not quite, but close. Recreation of my test room in Blender. And this says to fix mismatched texture on the beam, you can rotate the UVs for those faces. So the thing is like used in one direction, like when it's oriented this way, it works correctly, but it's oriented this way, it does not. Because it was designed to, I guess, tile a specific way. I mean, I could tweak the texture so it just works. I mean, like I could go into texture paint mode and try to see if I could. I mean, that would be something I could try to do real quick. Let's try that. So I can maybe try to make it just through clever texturing work either way. Okay. Well, actually, so this basically it's this texture but chopped in half. And this is designed to texture with itself. If I flip these UVs, would that work? So it fixes again, it fixes one way, but it breaks the other. I mean, I could have two separate objects. That just seems a little onerous. Let's just go into texture paint mode and see what that looks like. If it looks grody, I can not do it. So when you're doing texture painting, pixel perfect texture painting in Blender, you want to make sure that your curve is at the flat. By default, it's this nice like Gaussian fall off, which is smooth. You want just to make that flat so you get nice hard pixels. Also on the options tab, you want to check your bleed. This is how much, how many pixels out of the UV chords it will go. So this will bleed out. If you set it to 0, it will not. Hey, Michael. Okay, so it's not terribly far off. I'm just worried about like it's going to be a little not super awkward, but a little awkward. And also, let's go back to my draw tool. Let's see. That's going to create not the worst. Yeah, because it's doing, these changes are affecting this right here, because this is kind of like where it mirrors, but as long as it doesn't look super wonky, I'm probably going to be okay with it. What if I want me to make my brush size smaller so I'm not painting so many pixels at once? This may work out okay. Just got to try to figure out how to smooth this out a little without looking super weird. Also, let me give myself some more text. Just try to make this nice and big so I can see all, like, it's going to change in all 3 pieces, so I have to make sure that it looks good in all 3 places. It's not bad per se. Yeah, actually, I think I can live with that. So let me over here just so that the trick with Blender is if you save the file, it actually doesn't save the image because this is an external image. So you have to go to image here and save image. This is separate from the actual file, which is kind of a pain. And I've lost like hours of work because of this. Cool, take care, maker images. So now over here, I should be able to hit play and K and refresh. Then we should see, yeah. So these are nice and fixed now. So they should tile no matter how you slam them together, which is kind of nice. And then you go back into Blender, exit isolation mode. I'm also thinking about making like an alt series of textures where there's more metal worked in. So like for this, there would be another. I think about maybe putting like metal banding on the door or something, and it would be nice so all the meshes can have like 2 different textures to pull from, which gives a little bit of variation. I'm not sure if I should start that now or if I should do that at the end once I have all the props kind of locked down. But I want to make big architectural stuff that I don't know, like in some ways is large, but in some ways is not like obstructing like it doesn't like massively obstruct the play area. I was also thinking of creating an insert for this, like I did for the windows, to make them into other things besides doors. If you want to use them for like alcoves or something, scale that twice. Does this look by itself? Again, the pixel scale is off, but I'm just trying to see what this larger. I mean, large columns may work. Maybe. Maybe if they're set more into the wall. Again, I'm trying to think of things that the Gin info system can place down that will look interesting without like totally like making the area impassable. And this may work. More or less says you can also create a brick wall with a metal frame on the bottom, so that when you have a metal ceiling, it blends in with the wall above, like the T intersection. Kind of. The problem with that, so I do have a so the problem with that is it will repeat. So if I go into our editor, and if so they're allowed to have a, if I hit G to grab the textures, we have an upper wall and a lower wall. And if I put something that repeats on the upper wall, you can see what's going on. So it'll actually repeat twice. In this case, it probably doesn't look bad, but it's something you have to keep in mind. So that's why I tend to, if you look at my, let me show you the texture. I guess we could look at the texture sheet here in Blender. But the texture sheet, how it's currently laid out is this top row tiles in the X and the Y infinitely fairly well. And then this only really tiles in the X direction well. So that's kind of how that's laid out. So these are kind of meant to be trims that go around either the top or the bottom, depending on how you're building stuff. But I tend to do it around the bottom just because that's where the player's eye is going to be most of the time. That's where a lot of the detail is going to be there. Chad is suggesting flags or tapestries. That could work. Yeah, we could either do, we could probably just make those into, they could either be models or decals, really. Yeah. Let's castle tapestry. I think the ones I've seen like in Switzerland are huge. Yeah, like tapestries are these giant, like all-consuming wall things for the most part. Yeah, they're like twice people size usually, which is crazy. I guess a lot of them were painted like life size, which is kind of cool. I mean, flags could be cool. That's interesting. The ruin thing. Yeah, I want to avoid stuff with high detail, really. So a lot of these tapestries are just crazy packed with like hunting scenes or you know, like a king in like some sort of like cool scenario. Maybe just a kind of a flag would be fine. Not super accurate, but easier to do. Let's go over here and try to mock that up, I suppose. Yeah. So what will work? Maybe it's like a 32 by 64. Would that give me enough room to work? Let's start there, and if I need to go larger, I can. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate those and P to separate them by selection. And then here, I'm just going to go into here. And I'm going to change the material assignment. I'm going to change it from dungeon textures. I'm going to change it to dungeon meshes. Then up here, I also need to change it to dungeon meshes. There we go. Let's look at the UV chords. They need to be straightened out a bit. So this needs to go -32. And then these also need unique chords. So let's move this down. 32. That's nice. So what I can do now is W, remove doubles, and I can select this edge here. I can Control X to delete the edge. And there we go. Pull it off the wall. Otherwise, we have Z fighting. If you've seen this in video games, this is what happens when two or more faces are in the exact same plane, and the graphics card doesn't know which one to render in front of the other. So sometimes you get this arbitrary choosing. That's why it kind of does the weird like patterns and flickers. So it's just best to just offset this just by a tiny amount. And there you go. Usually it's enough that the player can't notice, but it's still enough that the graphics card can sort them correctly. Cool. We got that, and yeah, that's a pretty high level overview of Z fighting. I'm sure Chad could illuminate more on that. He's done all the heavy lifting as far as like the graphics programming of the Delver engine go. Let me see. So I guess I can just start here. That's probably fine. So again, like I'm trying to think like what would be a cool color, like because I want a contrasting color. So usually that for like this purple, it's probably be like an orangey. You can always just look for a interactive color wheel because that's a thing. That's a good one. Cooler, yeah, Adobe Cooler is nice. Yeah. So yeah, so for these, it just defaults these purples. So the purples, you kind of get like these greens and yellows. They're okay. Yeah. I could stay in the cool. You can change like triadic or have some of these cool colors that kind of go with the purple. I don't know, I want to have tight control over the palette, you know, so it looks visually pleasing. So I already have kind of I have this purple and orange thing going, so maybe this teal is not a bad way to go. Again, I can play around with color choice later, I suppose. Axelatine is suggesting red and gold. Maybe. Maybe. We're trying to be more conscious of color selection this time around when creating stuff for Delver. This is going to be the first area people hit, so it needs to be the most beautiful and the most interesting for the other, like trying to capture somebody within the first 15 minutes of play. Sad, my tea is gone. Okay. guess. I guess let's just do texture paint. Let's go to my fill tool and hit S to sample stuff. Play around with some colors, maybe find something I like. I tend to work in my brain tends to work best in the HSV like way of thinking, but use whatever color space your brain gravitates towards. Okay. I think go back to draw, and then I think what will be cool is like I can play with alpha. I'm pretty sure. So if I switch my brush somewhere here, it should let me do that. Blend should be erase alpha. I think that's what it is. Okay. Then on my material, transparency, mask. I always forget how to set this up correctly. Maybe it's on my texture as well. Use alpha. Use alpha. Whoa. Whoa, what did you do there? Oh no. Multiplied? No. I want to say I have this set up on something. Let me just take a quick peek at some of my other scenes. Yeah, what is this? So show alpha, use alpha pre-multiplied, alpha use alpha. Okay. So that's a lot of, so alpha use alpha pre-multiplied. Alpha. Masking down to 0. Oh, weird. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. I'll take it. Weird that it only shows in, something's up. It should show. I don't get it. Yeah, I think Chad has a good point. Like these things should be probably pretty old. Like that's the thing is like if like depending upon how old we think this dungeon area should be, like maybe in all honesty, like it really should just be like it might not even be there anymore. It's hard to say. It should be on GLSO. Oh, good point. There we go. So many options, Blender. You make my life hard. There we go. Thank you, Tesla Coil. Okay, so let's go back to my fill tool. Actually, go back to my draw tool and then change this back to mix. And then over here, my fill tool, just drop that color back in. Maybe Chad was suggesting a brown. I already have these browns over here off the wood. Play around with that. They were wrong tool, Joshua. And just trying to think of how the cloth would fold. Yeah, sometimes getting Blender to do what you want is a lot of work. Let me find some photo reference for this. I'm just not totally freewheeling it. And all. Flag on wall. Okay, cool. Yeah, so these kind of pinch points should kind of run the whole length of the thing. That also changes like the shape of the flag too. So if I flip this over to erase alpha, this should kind of bow here. Have this sort of shape to it. This might be too big. And the colors might be off on that too, but I can always shift them around later. Bring chat up so I can see. Yeah, I can add some of those the whole stuff back. See what it looks like. Maybe increase my brush size a little bit. Back to draw, but let's flip this back to mix. Pick this highlight color, and then these kind of just should live here-ish. Take a look at my reference again. This should just kind of go up here all the way, actually. Yeah, it's kind of okay. But it might be like way too much like sagging, really. Let me paint some of that out. Hmm. It's kind of okay. It's one of those things where like on some pieces, like I'm not sure if just spending more time with it will make it better, or if it's bad to be, just like as an idea. It's always hard to tell. Also, I think maybe a little bit of like I think everything in Delver for the most part has selective outlining. So let me try some of that real quick. They're not. Maybe back to draw. Could pair well with the windows. Interesting, yeah. That is a good point, Chad. Pull some of this and do a little AA. Here and there. Try to make the forms read a little bit more interestingly, maybe. Especially here when the angle is pretty slight. Maybe a little bit of that will help I feel better. Hmm. 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 Yeah, so I can let me throw in a window because Chad was suggesting it. Let me try that. So that should be in one of these ears here. Yeah, there we go. Move it over to our mockup layer. And go to the mockup layer. Try to position this window nicely here on the wall. And of course, I put it in the room with the big. Yeah, I can just hide these. Go. So let me find the inset for that. Yeah, that one will be fine. Let me just real quick. Alt G, Alt G, and let me just join those two together. So there's a little bit of contrast, so the window looks better. There we go. If I'm bumping my microphone, I apologize. I'm still getting used to my new microphone setup, and it's like right in my face, and it's kind of distracting. But hopefully, I'll just learn to live with it. Hey, Krogan. Maybe maybe I should lower them so they're not quite on the ceiling. So it's just the trick is the gin info thing is going to place them on every single wall tile, and you can't really make interest, like you can't make the spacing has to be on the grid, so you have to kind of build your assets around that. So maybe not, maybe, I don't know. Let me just, I guess, spend some more time with this. Go back into texture paint mode, maybe pull some of this darker texture in. Am I even on the right thing? I have a feeling I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm on draw. Why aren't you painting, Blender? I'm not painting on that, which was what my fear was. Yeah, I'm still not. Unfortunately, I'm still not 100% sold. Unfortunately, so I might fiddle with this for a while yet. Still, there we go. Here, let me undo that. Let's save this image. Let me pop over to Photoshop. I just feel a little bit more comfortable working with like palettes and adjusting colors in Photoshop than with Blender. And it's just a little bit easier. The tool just a little bit easier to work with. So let me just grab this here. Let me just duplicate it so I can play around with stuff. Yeah, I think it might be too bright. Let me just play around with the saturation. Let me pull the sat down, pull the lightness down a little bit. I can color shift it into some different directions. Okay, maybe select those. Maybe pull them up just a little bit on the brightness. Maybe a little bit more sat. Okay. Just really dull now. Because if I save this now and I go over to Blender, I can you could hover over this texture here, hit Alt R, and that will reload them. That's really dull. That's kind of blech. Let me go into Photoshop. Let me open up File, Open, go to Textures, Dungeon, and open up the new dungeon textures. And let me just, I'm just gonna grab this 32 by 64 chunk here, and then lay it right next to here so I know what it's gonna look like next to the wall. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's because like a lot of Delver is so rectilinear. When we have non-rectilinear forms, it makes it look strange, which is why I'm trying to embrace the grid more than I previously have. Let me step back. Okay, that's step back, step back, step. Mm-hmm. It could be. Like, I mean, I could play with the hue a little bit too. Like if they go into those purpley, the teal-y colors. That looks like not the worst. Maybe if I hue shift some of these darker colors, maybe that'll be Nice little touch. You shift them towards blue, I suppose. Like a hue shift. This more towards yellow. Yeah, that's true. Test the coil set. It could be something that that is used to create set pieces within the tile set. That is also could be the case as well. They also might just be too big. I could certainly shorten them up. Morgan says, "How do I know it will look good on other people's monitors?" You know, I don't. I just have to make sure that it looks good on mine. I have a few machines I test on. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. AKA, I think that's Baka. I think that's Nick, but I'm not sure. I'm not really good with. I mean, it would be simple to do something like this. Do a few cuts. Yeah, gotcha, Nick. Cool. How are you, sir? Um, is life somewhat back to normal, or is it still crazy? I guess you guys are patching strafe like none other, so it's probably still crazy. Yeah, so maybe I have the most variety up there, and then down here, I can flatten it out as it goes down. Let me put my snaps to vertex, and then get it back on the Y. Just snap there. So we have I don't know. Is that like, or is that like inverse of what it should be? I feel like. Cool. Yeah, Nick, you guys have been doing awesome with the updates, and you guys are killing it. I'm just sure like life is just really, really tough right now. Yeah. Yep. Chad and I know all about doing community management and all sorts of things you never thought you'd end up doing when you start making a game. I'm not sure if that little bit of extra geo helps or not. I can try both ways. Maybe we could even do something like. Cool, yeah. I've seen. I think like maybe Quake 3 did something like this with their really long like flags and tapestries, where it was just a they had a very simple plane with a little bit of geo to it, and they had a shader that would just kind of do like a sine wave on it, just to add a little bit of motion to it. Yeah, that makes sense, Nick. Yeah, I can have the high points of the bright spots kind of follow the uh, follow along this geo here. Maybe even just punch this up just a tiny bit, so a little bit lighter, maybe even a little bit more yellow. I think would be okay. Then maybe just kind of maybe desat that though. maybe as this kind of flex up here in the corner. Don't want to forget about that. Cool. And maybe up here there should be like a little bit more of that highlight, but like maybe work it into the all these folds kind of gather up here. Somehow. Okay, let me just save that texture, and then let me export these models and see what it looks like in the editor. See if it's good or if it's less than good. Okay, so let's do a few things. Let's I guess select both of these. Let's isolate them. And then let's, I think, where's the origin? The origin's all the way over there in a crazy spot. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to just Shift S and cursor to select it and just set the origin at a spot where the Delver engine expects. Delver expects the origin to be in the bottom center of geometry. So that's where I'm going to put it. And I'm just snapping the cursor to where I want the origin to be and then just setting the origin to the 3D cursor. And then what I can do is I can hit Alt-G and that will put it in the center of the world, and then I can export it out. So File, Export OBJ. Let's go to Dungeon. Yeah, so here we go. So for the OBJ options, you need to have selection only. You don't need write materials, but you do need triangulate faces. And then let's just do test. Call this test flag _0. Export. And then same thing here. So Alt-G, File, Export OBJ, test flag 1. Export. Cool. So now over here in the editor, I should be able to place those meshes manually and see what they look like. So right click, place entity, misc mesh. It can be any. Let's just choose the well because it's small. I'm going to say it's not solid. And I'm going to say mesh file is dungeon test flag 0. Okay. And then I need to make sure that the texture file, yeah, this is still messed up, Chad. Like the mesh one works fine, but here I'm not getting the subfolders like dungeon or whatever, but you can still type it in here. So let's go textures / dungeon / meshes. And that should be fine. So hit play and then K and refresh. And that pulls in the correct texture. Then let me just position this. So T to turn it. I can kind of snap it where I want it. Yeah, for the time being, I can delete these raptor things just to see what it looks like. And I think, did I get these not aligned correctly? I'm not sure. Let's just slam this against the wall. The nice thing too about having the 3D geo is it's not going to z-fight as much. It might still z-fight a little on the bottom. Yeah, well, or it just goes directly through. Cool. Pull it up. Pull it out just a touch. You can do it manually without snapping. Let me delete that and delete that window. Then kind of just scoot it over there. Then I can hold Alt and then drag a copy here. And just up here in the mesh file, I can just change this 0 to 1. And then we have the flat version on this side. I hit play. That's all right. It's not bad. Yeah. Not sure which one's working better. The flat one might be working out better. I'm not sure. I think they both need love on the texture work still. Yeah, like a very small like wave shader wouldn't be hard to implement. I don't know. I mean, it may look okay. It may look weird. It has to be really subtle. Um, Hey, Fifth Elephant, how the heck are you, man? Yeah, air condition did not exist. That's kind of like that's what I'm trying to sell myself on these windows in the dungeon. I'm putting them up high so people can't escape, but also like maybe that's how the air gets flowed around in a dungeon area. Um, it doesn't really matter. Here, actually, let me play the game a little bit, and I'll talk about it because I've been streaming for an hour and a half and not much actual like Delver play. So let's do that. Let me stop my editor and let's fire up. Yeah, no worries, man. Like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, it's not very forgiving. Yeah, I was on Funk message board the other day, and there was a whoa, and TD Daz. Hey guys, wow, it's Quake folks in my stream, which I'm really honored to have. How the heck are you guys doing? Yeah, there was a discussion on Funk message board the other day about indie developers using procedural generation versus handcrafted maps, and I think it's a good conversation to have. Mostly because right now our procedural generation techniques are bad. They're not as good as they could be, and still hand-built stuff feels way better than procedural stuff. And we're trying to blend the two together with varying degrees of success. Yeah. So whoa! Oh, Joshua, what have I done? um. So I think I've broken some of the gen infos. Oh, yeah, I think I broke the gen info system again. Yeah, also I have some player mods installed too, like the Dark Souls rings. Forgive that. Yeah, I'm really proud that like last update we added mod support, which is really cool. And we have, I think, close to 30 some odd mods out there now. I'm really proud of the stuff that folks have made. It blows my mind. Cool. Yeah. I'm the art guy. There's two of us on the team. We do this in our free time. So instead of like being social or having fun, we work on Delver. Right now, I'm freelance, so I'm in between contract work. So I'm working more on Delver than I usually do, which is nice, but it also means that like I need to find work. Yeah, that's gonna kill me. What did I mess up? Yeah, and then the other developer is a guy named Chad Cuddigan, and he's Cuddigan there in the chat. I think I've goofed something. I think it just so part of our decoration, I replace foliage dynamically depending upon what the floor tile is, and I think I've messed up what like texture sheet these are pulling from. It's still placing like these crystals dynamically correctly. Cool. Let's pop on down. I'm gonna go to a few more levels because I think it's more interesting to see different levels, and also I'll die faster and get back to work faster. But yeah, it is a procedural dungeon crawler. We have a mix of both hand created rooms and computer created rooms, and we can control that ratio. So for different areas, there's different like I think the caves are highly computer generated. I think I have a pretty minimal set of hand created rooms for the caves. Let's see. Hey, thank you for the kind words, Pete, yeah, EXO. Um, cool. Thank you for the kind words, Fifth Element, Elephant. Excuse me. Um, it's hard when you're small. Like we don't make a big splash as other games might. See if I can smack him with my potion. Oh, he bounced off. Crap, crap, crap. Okay. It was a poison potion too. That could have been bad. I need a better weapon than my crappy little dagger. Yeah, definitely. So Chad and I both grew up on like Doom and Heretic and Hexen, Ultima Underworld, Daggerfall, like all these like the 90s is when I really got like into like my gaming prime, and those are the things I'm still pulling from. Yeah, and I had a half like I almost made the wands actually center oriented like Hexen and Heretic as well, but I thought that was getting a little too close. But yeah, we like the first-person shootery elements of that. Because it's nice to have like hit scan weapons and projectile weapons and have melee weapons. I think it gives a good variety of options. I mean, we could always do better, but we're working hard, trying to listen to player feedback. This bat needs to die. Yeah, I remember too. Like Daggerfall it's staggeringly large. Like you can literally walk for days in real time. Hey, Thermal Lampid. Hey, from work. Yeah, so it's cool to see so many folks joining me like on a Wednesday afternoon because generally I try to stream on the weekends because I assume that's better for folks. I better eat an apple before I die. And a caterpillar is going to poison me, of course. Oh, I have a bow. I forgot about that. Okay, let's recover that arrow. Yeah, Daggerfall also had just kind of like just semi-unexplained nudity. Like you just wander across naked people from time to time, and yeah, Daggerfall was not shy about like just having naked folks hanging out, which is kind of, yeah, for me is also a similar situation. Hey Evram, thank you for stopping by. Status effects going to get icons. I don't know. Like right now, the status effects against the player are textual, which I think is fine. We also have some like I guess diegetic stuff where like if you're poisoned, you'll spew out poison bubbles. If the enemies are slowed, they will put out like little snowflakes. If they're paralyzed, they kick out stars like you expect. So I don't know what you mean by icons, but maybe I'm trying to have like in-game effects that kind of indicate what status things are, so it's not like mystery meat or hidden numbers really. Cool. So I died. Let me get back to work. So I'm trying to like, I guess I'm doing like lo-fi pixel art props. And I'm not sure if I like which better. Yeah, so this definitely has modding support. Can you make E1 M1? So unfortunately, our rooms are the rooms are tied to a grid. So if I fire up the room editor, yeah. So basically, Delver, if you want to use, so Delver, you can do handmade levels, or you can do these procedural levels where you build out the rooms and you stitch them together. If you're building rooms, they need to be 17 by 17, but if you're building hand-built stuff, they can be of any dimension. You can just make a selection, hit enter to carve. You can make hallways that way. You can hit backspace to fill. You can also make selections, and then you have these little handles, and you can lower the floor, raise the ceiling. There's a right-click menu. You can place entities. So we have like architecture stuff. This is old stuff. I'll be updating here in a little bit. But you can place like a stair, which is basically you just it's kind of hacky, but you make a little ramp, and this is just geo that sits on top. That's it. Stairs. Because we don't really support like all of our bounding boxes in game are actually axis aligned, so we don't really support ramps except for on the level geo. Yeah, I think Cuttigan modeled this after how System Shock and Ultima Underworld, how they kind of did things. Like we also have this concept of like you can do these kind of weird like half walls. Let me see. So yeah, let me carve this. Make this empty, and then here I can select this. And I think I forget what the shortcut is, but you can do like U. Yeah, you can do these kind of weird like angular walls. I don't always do them because they're kind of weird to manage sometimes. But I think if used properly, they could be, you could create some really cool spaces. Yep, 90 and 45 is what we support. A lot of the other stuff I try to disguise with mesh work, basically. So trying to think of like, we don't really have a lot of really big hand-built level pieces. We try to we lean heavily on procedural just to try to make up for the fact that we are two people and we don't have a lot of time to drop into this. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for the kind word, guys. Yeah. Yeah. When you buy Delver, you get the room editor. And like I've been recording dev streams since last July every Sunday, so I'm up to almost 70 videos of me using this thing. So you could maybe puzzle it out there, or I probably ought to just do like a 5-minute like how to use the Delver editor. Basically, it's WSD to move around. You can use the arrow keys to turn the camera. Like you said, it said backspace to fill, enter to carve. We try to keep it somewhat WYSIWYG, but I'm sure there are some like magic stuff that I just have built into my brain like right now that I forget about. You can also like you can just peek into how we built all the levels in Delver. If you unzip delver.jar, you can look at all of our levels. They should be in the generator folder, separated out by theme. Like the start camp, you can look at the I'm sorry, if you look at this level start, yeah. Yeah, this is the start area of Delver. So this is a hand-built area. We use a little bit of procedural prop generation, but that's about it. P to enter play mode. You can look around at stuff. I think all the interactions should still work, so you can test that stuff out. Yeah, releasing a thing is hard. We've been working on this again in our free time for about 4 years. Chad probably 5 now. We've done 14 updates, and we're just trying to get this darn thing finished. So right now it's really trying to pick what features we think are like the most crucial and trying to get those done. Cool. So we file open, and then I was working on this new dungeon theme. Just trying to play around with making the first level of Delver, because a lot of it's room corridor. So I'm trying to have more areas to move around in, but still have you know, like things that break line of sight. So you know, like for example, mages shoot fireballs and they can really hit you from a long ways away, and it's never fun to have just like a long straight corridor where you can't really move around. I'm trying to keep like open spaces, but they're still interesting, but there's still good gameplay in them. So that these, when they get slammed together, it creates something interesting, hopefully. Chad is going to update the room builder to kind of mimic my style. Then I will try to mimic the room builder style a little bit to make it a little bit more seamless. Cool, you've had it since since 2014. Thanks. Yeah, this is kind of like a little like, I guess, mock-up or like style guide. I'm trying to nail down what I want things to look like, and I was playing around with maybe just adding like some more decorative meshes. Dungeon test flag. Textures, dungeon meshes should be the correct one. select the mesh and then turn it. It is not solid. Let me slam it over here. Window seems to be in a strange spot. Shimmy it over there. Again, I'm not sure if I like, so I have this one with a little bit of 3D geo, and then this one is just purely flat. You can hold down Alt to duplicate mesh geometry, which can be useful depending upon what you're trying to do. And I think I made test flag 1, which is just the flat version. Maybe beat this over a little. Yeah, again, I could play around with colors, trying to figure out things. So Pertev get, or let's see. So Benjamin Landon says, "Are you aware of the full screen bug happening when we watch the game?" Yeah. So it looks like it's not preserving some of the settings stuff. I think we have an issue to track that. That's on. I believe it's. I should let me pop into our GitHub repo real quick. The interrupt Delver. Let's look at issues. Let's search for full screen. Settings. We are aware of it. I thought I documented it, but maybe I didn't. If not, let me just create one real quick. Full screen is not preserved between launches. Summary. Full screen. Setting and plus the others are not being honored on reload. Relaunching Delver. Serialization of settings issue? Question mark. Assign it to Chad. Labels bug, player reported, and just put it into the June milestone. Submit. Cool. Thank you. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, that's the fifth elephant. That's an excellent suggestion. So what he's saying is you could start here and make a selection like that. And then I can drop the ceiling down. Yeah, because I turned off collision on them, so I could make a little secret area. I hit G to grab the textures, and then I can just hit Shift Enter just to only paint textures. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. Let's see if I can. Yeah, and then the alpha does help kind of give that away a little bit, which is nice. Yeah, that's cool. I find little things like that. Let me see. Yeah, no, I definitely. So when Chad first started working on Delver, I noticed that things were in the jar format, and I just started extracting asset. Oh yeah, but now that it's only single-sided, it disappears. I'd have to also create faces on the backside if I want to use it that way. But that good suggestion. Also too, like if I ever wanted to have like something like just have these kind of like arbitrarily just like lining a hall, that might also be nice to have backs on them too. Like this. I mean, it'd look cool from one direction, but like not from the other. Yeah. Um, let me see. Nick says, I have a rude suggestion. Uh-oh. I'm very so Nick did a wow, thanks for the he did a quick paint over and it's not a bad suggestion at all. Um and he also drew like a mustache on me too because that's the kind of guy Nick is. So Avram says, Joshua, do you have tips and tricks for Blender low poly art? Like how do you get nearest neighbor for textures, and how do you unwrap UVs? Yeah. I do. I can cover that if you folks think that's interesting. Um, cool. Cool. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah, because Nick, you're suggesting like having the thing is with like if the wrinkles wouldn't necessarily go all the way down per se, but I do like what you're doing with the yeah. So like I think what Nick is suggesting is something like because I have this 3D geo um, here to really push in the darkness there. So something like in the thirds. Let me make a new layer real quick. Let me grab this. Something like that, and like that. Get my eraser and kind of touch it up real quick. Let me select these highlights on there. Maybe erase a little or like above them. Yeah, so Nick was suggesting to really kind of push this the whole and maybe like something like that down the middle to really push, I guess, the three dimensionality of the texture, which could work. And I think over here on this side too, like it probably needs like these edges will be raised a little bit as well. Sorry, pull chat back up again. T Tahani says, "How is the game just $7.99?" Pricing it, pricing a thing is very hard. Because to be honest, I feel like no matter what price point we set, somebody can always point to an example of a game that is cheaper and way better, right? Like I think, like for example, I think the common comparison we get is like Minecraft is like like $15, right? So, like how dare you charge a similar amount for your game? Maybe that's just my fears, but like there are some weird player expectations like around like how much you charge and like how big a thing is, or um, I don't know. It's again, it's just a hard thing to do. I think for final release, I think we're gonna bring it up to $9.99. But that's not a huge price jump, and that represents 15 updates and 4 years of work. And I guess we will give folks like a release day chance to buy it at $7.99 before we put it up to $9.99. But it's not a huge price hike. I could probably sleep okay at night. Yeah, let me merge that down. Let me save that. Yeah. Let me Alt-R it. I'm not sure if that's a plus or a minus, but let's hit play, K, and then just hit refresh. I mean, I think it matches the geo better. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely more wrinkly. Yeah. So Evram says he wants to do just a quick Blender overview of how I do modeling. So I could certainly do that. Yeah. So let me just make something real quick. What should I make? Because I already have some stuff here. I mean, sometimes you start with the model and then you texture it later, and sometimes you start with a texture and then you go to the model second. So let me try just making something weird with these textures here. Like I think I did the arches that way. It just depends on like Evram says a gravestone. Sure, a gravestone should be somewhat straightforward. Yeah. So let me just go to a fresh layer here. Center my view. Let me add a cube. Let me add a material. So new material. It's going to be shadeless because I don't care about shading right now in the viewport. I just want to have a good representation of what the texture looks like. And then over under images, I need to create a new image for this. So new, fine. Let's say it's going to be like 32 units tall. So if I make a new image roughly 64 by 64, that should give me enough pixels to work with. Just say this is Evram prop or gravestone. Then again, Blender. So I named the image. Now I'm naming the texture, and now I'm naming the material. I typically do this so I can grok what's going on here. Let's go into front view. I'm going to just move this up by half a unit. Oh, by 1 unit, excuse me. Try and get things built to the Delver size. Edit mode. Just trying to size this up correctly. Let me scale along the X by 0.5. So there should be a 1 by 1 by 2 cube. Go into top mode. Let's scale this down by half. Nope, scale Y. There we go. So that's a 1 by 1 by 1 cube. If I want it to be, I can just ballpark this for the time being. I can snap stuff later. So gravestones are usually more narrow than they are tall. I can hit Shift S and selection to grid, and that will snap all my pixels or my vertices to the grid. I have the grid set up such that so it's 16 lines and there's 32 subdivisions. I do this because a Delver unit is 32 by 32 pixels, and this way it lines up nicely with the pixel grid. This is probably too wide for a gravestone though. And narrow it down, Shift S, cursor to selected, or not that, Shift S, snap to grid is what I wanted, selection to grid. And then what you can do is, okay, so go to face mode, grab this first face. Actually, let me delete the bottom face because I don't need it. I go into front view, project from view. Let me also turn on, let me see, why is it not showing? Let me see, get material, shadeless, image. Oh, so I'm not using the correct image yet. Let me just, for the time being, that's fine. It's fine. I'll just move this material back over to the dungeon meshes and just use the texture I've already got set up, even though I just showed you how to set up your own texture. But dungeon meshes, because I have this handy little grid here that shows me how big pixels actually are, which helps me size my thing. I know it should be roughly 32 units tall, so I can kind of ballpark it there. From me actually just throw it on top of this stone texture already so I can see. Probably too small. I'm just going to try to get it close. Let me move it up here and Shift S, snap selected the pixels as well. And it looks like my pixels are off. So let me put my cursor here, cursor to selected. Then I'm going to scale about my selected, and then I'm going to get it again close. That looks about right. I'm just looking at the grid versus the pixels. I'm going to snap them. And okay, so this should be on the pixel grid for the Delver world size. So what I can do is I can select, like, say, this face, and then this face. And then I can hit U, follow active quads. Okay, and that will just unwrap it nicely off to the side and maintain the correct pixel ratio. So it should be, again, it should match the grid. See, nice. And do the same thing for the top. You can also probably do this all in one step if you want to mark seams. So you can do like this, Control E, mark a seam, and go into face mode, and then select these, and make sure that this is the last one. Blender has this concept of selected faces and active face. The active face is shaded slightly different than the other ones. So if you go U, follow active quads, this should just do it all in one nice little step. And everything, all the pixel sizes should be correct. And then for this back one, what I can do is I can just delete the face, and then I can just duplicate it, and then just position it back here. Let's turn our snaps to pixels, okay, or vertices, so go there. Then I can flip it, Control Shift in, remove doubles to get rid of the duplicated vertices from that face duplication. And then here I can say, if I want unique texture space, I can just move it down manually, say get Y -32, and then there we go. This is our headstone unwrapped. Maybe side by side makes more sense. So get Y 32, get X 4. No, get X. I'll just do everything, and I'll just kind of manually place it. I go to face mode here, and I can still snap to vertices even in the UV editor. So there we go. Hit X, and snap it there. Just kind of mosey this down in here. So it looks like get X 6, get Y -6. So that gives us unique texture space. And then I can go to texture painting directly in Delver if that's your thing. I've been ignoring chat. Sorry. Let me see. Fifth Elephant says I should learn a 3D modeling program. Very overdue. This is cool. Cool. I'm glad. Hopefully you folks aren't bored to tears by this. But yeah, I'm trying to talk through my thought process on doing a pixel perfect texture for a real-time asset. Let's go to texture paint mode. I have some special brushes set up, but they're nothing really that special. So you have a basic draw brush. You can go down here and say brush. Brush tool, fill, and then you can just fill it with a color. Then make sure to flip that back. So brush paint tool, draw. And that's all these fill and draw brushes. That's the only difference, is one mode is set to fill, one mode is set to draw. And then like for the Delver style, I just typically like start like outlining stuff. So I have another brush called line, which is the draw brush plus this stroke method turned on to line. That's all that is. So line, then I just have my dark colors. Sometimes like when you have if it's a solid color model, you can't really tell where the geo is. And if you want to follow the geo, sometimes it's helpful to go, what is this? The object, yeah, the object properties, turn on wire. And this will show the wire always. So you can just kind of paint with that turned on. So just kind of draw this hard. It depends on you. Again, this is like what style you want to do. Sometimes if it doesn't paint, it's a combination of getting the camera angle and the brush size. Like if the brush is too small, you have a hard time actually laying down pixels. Cool. Then I usually do something like this. Again, these are kind of my learnings from the latest stuff I've been doing on Delver. You go back to my draw brush, do a little bit of dither, excuse me. The S key in for some odd reason the S key is what does the color picking. But the thing is it automatically color picks when you hit S, not when you tap. Like I'm painting with a stylus, so if you hit S and tap, it will add it to your palette. So be careful about that. It's kind of wonky. Most programs copy Photoshop's way of doing it, which is just by selecting or hitting Alt and clicking on things to get a color selection. That is a bit different than what some folks may expect. You know, and then this is just painting, right? Nothing really special here. So with Delver, I've been doing more dither this time around. I guess I avoided it for a long time because I was kind of insecure because my art style and another I guess more talented pixel artist art style are similar, and I was just like not secure about that. But since then, I've gotten over myself, and I'd use dither because I think it adds a little bit of texture without bumping up the colors too much. Yeah, and then get out of, like, a lot of times too. Let's get out of. Let's also. I will hit Shift and click another layer and bring up, say, like this, so I can actively color pick from something else while I'm working. So maybe that was the wrong layer to color pick from, but maybe this one. Yeah. So we have this already existing. It's already existing. I mean, I once I have a style, like I just reference it all the time. So maybe like I want this dark outline. So let's just grab that dark color, go back to my line tool, and kind of fix this. There we go. A nice amount of contrast. There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it also, like, thank you. Like if I know exactly what I'm making, it's actually just it's not so bad. The hard part of doing like development is like when you have no idea and like I'm exploring this new space and like trying to create a unique look. That's when I kind of struggle a little bit. I find that I'm a much better production artist than I am a concept artist. I know folks. I don't know. A lot of folks tend to desire like concept work way more, but I like just like knocking stuff out, you know. And especially like the Delver style I've like established. I'm pretty comfortable working in, and it's nice when things come together quickly. Let me see. And everyone wanted a little skull, so let's go back to draw mode. Just go back in the front view. Let's just block in a skull real quick. Let's use the dark. Why not? Skulls are dark. Something like that. Okay. A little bit of AA. I'm hitting the wrong key. That's why it's not doing what I was thinking it should be doing. You know, I mean, like skulls are. I don't know. They're all right to draw. Yeah, it's way too big, way too thick. How do I do that? How do I solve that problem? Also, yeah, maybe just add just that light purple there just to make it. Go. Yeah, you can paint directly in Blender. So for my work, what I do is over here. It's important on this curve that you set it to flat. If you set it to, like, this is the default. That's nice if you're doing like hand painted stuff. Like if you want to do like a nice like painterly stuff, you can certainly do it. But that's just not the way that I'm working for Delver. I've done other things. You know, you can get like nice blending and stuff. Depending upon, like, you can go up here and you can turn on like tablet pressure for your strength. You can get some really nice like blending. you know, depending upon what look you want. But for Delver, I just use straight up like no blending and no like nice no fall off on my curve. I just want like a nice hard pixel brush I can control. Nice. And then maybe I can just simulate some text, right? Like gravestones sometimes have text. Let's go every other line would be fine. And of course that's too regular, so what maybe I'll do is I'll just like to pick random points and just break it up. And because of word wrapping, we don't always have nicely aligned on the right. I mean, on the right. So that's what I'm just, again, it's just a little consideration I'm trying to give there. Then also maybe a little bit of AA just to kind of indicate that maybe the words, I don't know. Maybe it looks weird. Maybe I should make it more regular. I don't know. Something like that. I mean, seeing you on Twitch right now, it feels appropriate to write "rest in rip in peace" on it. What does that mean? Yeah. I could certainly put RIP on here. That's I think I'd certainly have it. I'm pretty sure I have the pixel space for that. Let me see. Just gonna quickly just slam this in and then fix stuff as I come across it. Okay. Odd spacing there. That's okay, I guess. Sorry, I like even though I've been streaming for coming up on a year, I still don't. I'm still not like hip with the culture, unfortunately. Yeah, I nowadays I feel like more like a dad than ever. I mean, now that I am a dad, but yeah. So apologies if I don't understand stuff. Cool, there we go. And then also we still have lots of texture space we can play around with. Also, you can paint over here if you want. If you're more comfortable working in a 2D versus a 3D view. Over here, what you need to do is down here on this drop down, hit view and change it over to paint, and then you get the same kind of paint panel on both. Over here, I think they should be synced as well as far as like your settings for your brush. It should be the same. Yeah. Then over here you can know if I really want to just do some dither over here, I can dither my heart away over here. And then just again it appears over there. It's nice to work this way sometimes, especially like earlier in the stream I was painting I was fixing a wood beam that needed to it kind of tile complicated in a complicated fashion, and it was nice to just be able to paint directly on the 3D model to make that happen. Yeah, that's how I generally tackle that. This was kind of cheating because it was nicely like rectilinear. Like my unwrap was pretty easy to do because like it didn't go at like weird angles. When you go at weird angles, like if we were to take a look at like this arch here, it definitely does not adhere to the grid. And a lot of times too, like correct me guys if I'm wrong, like Daz or Fifth Elephant, but Quake, the vertices tend to always snap to the grid, which gives their arches an interesting look. Where here I'm not really forcing that. And actually, if you notice, what I've done with this one, and it looks frankly terrible, is for this, I've actually just unwrapped. Let me actually find the correct thing. I think I have it on a different texture sheet. Yeah, I've unwrapped this, and I think each face is just unwrapped to a block. Let me turn this back to view mode. Yeah, so you get this weird distortion with the UVs, even though like in theory things should like be nice. It's just the UVs are so distorted that you get these weird artifacts. Pertab Gap says, how many different tools and programs am I using to make Delver? I typically do 2D editing in Photoshop, 3D editing in Blender. I use IntelliJ for programming, and I use the GitHub app and the command line sometimes for doing source control. I do pixel edit sometimes for pixel animation, depending upon what I'm doing at any given point in time. I think over here I should have a. I think I have a better door version somewhere. Yeah, so let me show these side by side, and we can kind of compare and contrast. So when I was first working on Delver, I did a lot of stuff like on this left-hand side, in that sort of fashion, where the UVs really kind of warp and stretch depending upon like how harsh of an angle I was working with. I guess the upside with this is you get a lot of reuse out of a single texture. So if like texture memory is a concern, this might be the way to go. Also, if you have a higher poly asset, these sorts of things are less noticeable. And let me see if I can do something like shift. If I just were to I can be I don't know if throwing a subdiv modifier on here will do what I think it will do, but let me see. Yeah, you see how it's not perfect, but all of a sudden the textures look way less like distorted. It's just because there's more geometry to kind of smooth it out, you know. And if you go up higher, you know, the textures look better compared to the amount of distortion you have here. And that's just simply because there's more triangles that they're doing, that they are kind of like amortizing or averaging out the distortion that you do get. I wonder if I can mark these edges sharp. Mark sharp. Okay, it doesn't seem to care. I thought it would do something for sharp or subdiv control cages, but maybe not. Maybe I'm misthinking. But so down here on this one, I've actually instead of doing that method, I've actually created extra texture space to unwrap this mesh. So it definitely doesn't line up like as cleanly as this one does. We have like a nice black outline, but the texture distortion is not present because it's aligned to the pixel grid again. So even though the vertices aren't aligned to the pixel grid, the pixels still, for the most part, should be. And over here you can look, and it's just basically, you know, like I've just kind of painted it in this direction. Yeah, no, definitely. The right hand arch is my new one. That's the one that I'm. That is the route that I'm going. I think it looks better. Again, like I get less texture reuse, but that's not really a concern. I think it looks better. And if you look at the editor again, those are the ones I have in Engine. I'm just kind of covering like the pros and cons of both. The Delver engine, you have to triangulate your meshes before you import anything in. Otherwise, your mesh will have holes in it because we assume all the faces are triangles. So with OBJ, you can export, I think, quads or n-gons. but we require you to triangulate. Yeah. I love the clean pixels. As Chad can, for better or for worse, I've slowly brainwashed him over the years to appreciate things lining up with the pixel grid. Everyone wants to see my grid settings, so yeah, my grid settings: 16 lines, 32 subdivisions. Yeah, gentlemen, I still have been like either telling myself or lying to myself that I will make a Quake map for a jam one of these days. I just haven't set aside time to do it. But yeah, no, Quake was one of the first things I started making content for, which was really cool. Like for some reason, I guess missed out on the whole like Doom map making scene, but Quake was the first one I picked up. I think I got like a PC Gamer magazine that had like a Worldcraft or something really ancient in it. What, maybe Quark? I can't remember which one I was using to make level editors. It's been a long time. My brain gets foggy with the years. Yeah. Cool. So I think I'll sleep on the flags. I'm kind of liking the way they're headed, but I'm not 100% sold on the colors and the shapes and stuff just yet. I still want to solve this whole like. Let me reopen my file. Open new dungeon theme. I kind of want to have like bigger architecture elements before I start like pulling my hair out over details. And I've been saying that, and I've been not doing it. I like these wooden rafters; they're kind of cool. I think I want to pull more metal into the designs because it's nice as a trim thing. It's at your eye level. It's a contrasting element. That's nice, but maybe more metal. How to do? If we do animate the flags, most likely it would be Chad doing a shader just to kind of gently manipulate the verts. We don't really, the Delver engine does not support animated textures on meshes. Ooh, metal platforms. Yeah. So one of the things we have are place entity. Do we have? Is it? It's not breakable. Ba, 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 ba. I'm drawing a blank on this. Yeah, the wood platforms were really cool for the sewers. I'm trying to figure out where I stashed those. Yeah, we have lots of chains already. Over here, I could always probably add more chains. But if I flip over to the cold area, the cold area definitely has a couple of different hanging chains and like accompanying little props to go with them. Yeah, so maybe just adding these little elements to the walls would also add a little bit of dungeony-ness to it. I'm trying to remember where they actually live. Let's go to my repository, GitHub, Delver, engineer, assets, meshes, wood beam. Cool. That's in the sewer, I think. Maybe. No, sewer, cold. Yeah. Ceiling chain, column, wood barrier, wall decor, 0 alpha. Sometimes my naming schemes leave a lot to be desired. Cold. Okay. Yeah. And then let me just change this. 252525 across the board. This should be textures, cold / meshes. Cool. Slam that against the wall. Actually, I think I have a prefab for it that picks between the two. Wood post. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Because I have a There's two variations on this. One has a little metal chain and one does not. And with prefabs, if you give it a comma-separated list of meshes, it will randomly choose between one of them at runtime, which can be a nice little thing to do if you want like just some simple cheap variation. There we go. Play mode. Yeah, those may work. I also probably want to darken up the metal to match the metal in this area. Cool. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So yeah, the platforms are a cool thing to do. Fifth Element is a remake of E1 M2 from Quake being pretty viable. I think the game would suit it. That would be cool. Core activities says the game looks fantastic, consistent, great style. Thank you very kindly. That's as the art guy. This is I lose sleep over these sorts of things. So thank you for the kind words. Yeah. So Michael, I wasn't lying to you when I said I did a little bit of work on Strafe. I've done a secret area in Strafe that nobody's found yet. So I'm glad it's a super secret, but I'm also kind of sad that nobody's found it. Yeah, I can do pixel art in Blender, or I mean, I'm pretty tool agnostic. I just use whatever I think helps me get the job done quickly at a given time. Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't played around with Doom Snap Map because my computer's old. I have a new one. I have parts for a new one coming. I'm really disappointed by the fact that we can't make levels for Doom other than the snap map stuff, which is fine for I guess getting people into it, but it would be nice to be able to have full-on level editing tools. Yeah. Also, another fun thing too is let me see. Let me go to my library. Games. Delver. Workshop. Yeah, so Delver does have support for guns. So yeah, I made this mod. I can install it real quick. Or I could just manually add it too. Let me try that. So let me see if I remember the syntax. So go to command prompt, go to repository, GitHub, Delver, assets. Nope, engineer. Assets. Mods. Okay, make link. Junction. What's the syntax for that? Link and target. So I think the target is the real and the link is the, okay, yeah, so make link. So slash junction, I want to be dot slash guns. I want to be /users, Joshua, repositories, GitHub, Delver, example mods, yeah, and items dash guns, I think is the correct thing. Oh, that's wrong direction, Joshua. Cool. Sorry, I switch between Windows and Mac quite a bit, so my brain breaks on many levels. Okay, so that just made a link between my repositories. So I go File, Open, up, new assets, mods, guns. Why is it not there? It should be there. Repositories, GitHub. Delver, engineer, mods, guns. Master. There we go. There we go. Shooting range. All the textures. Come on. Come on. What's wrong with my mod? Okay, something's broken that I don't want to mess around with, but there is a gun mod for Delver that allows, like, you can have shotguns and machine guns and all sorts of interesting things. Yeah, there. Unfortunately, Fifth Elephant, there is no documentation for the editor. There might be some user guides on Steam. There's a Delve edit tutorial, maybe. Yeah, we don't have anything official out yet. I really do need to make a just a basic video crash course. But yeah, it's WASD to move around, Q and E to go up and down, arrow keys to look around, make a selection with left mouse click and drag, enter to carve, backspace to fill, and you can kind of poke around at our levels to see what we've done. Yeah, the editor should have it in the menus, but like probing through menus is not great. Yeah, it would be nice just to have a something that just brings up a list of shortcut keys. That's a good suggestion. Let me make an issue on our GitHub repo. It would be nice just to say, show me the key map. So issues, new issue. Editor should list key shortcut. Summary. Editor should list something to help on. Cool. I'll sign it to Chad. He knows the editor better. So not bug. This is a feature request. Player reported. Let's throw it into the June milestone. Cool. That is a good suggestion. Cool. So with the cold area, I have these columns I kind of slap everywhere. I think also Chad was suggesting, I still have my, Chad was suggesting platforms. And I had this crazy sci-fi Delver. I think that's what I was doing over here is, let's go back to Dungeon Section Advanced. Let's reopen this. I think that's what was going on. No, like this. Things are just broken. The platforms are good. Delver props. Oh golly! Well, I didn't save the flag, but I have the OBJ in my repository, so that's something. What is the ruins has some stuff too, right? Do we have big architectural elements or no? I don't think we do. I think I just make use of just level geo. Oh, yeah, this is just a big crushing pillar. I think I made a similar pillar for traps, but maybe I should rely heavier on level geo and less on this crazy decorative stuff that maybe is not as important as I think it is. Yeah, bridges and platforms are fun. Elevators too. Yep. Those are good things. We have that lift. It kind of works. Like, I mean, it's an old school lift. We just took a really crazy long chain attached to the top of it. And that's what we use for a lot of things. I mean, if I am embracing the metalness of the first era, maybe just a more modern style elevator would be okay. Core activity says I'm working on a multiplayer game for people like me. Oh no, what kind of people? What kind of people am I? Pixel art person? Tinkerer? I'm feeling judged. Cool, whatevs. Yeah. Hmm. I feel like I'm stalling out. I just need to maybe just pivot and do something different. Let's see if I can make that the platform Chad was suggesting. It would be nice if it was an all-purpose thing. Yeah, if it's 1 unit by 1 unit, but maybe half, that could be okay. Maybe like a metal bottom, a wood top. I can just start by making something really just basic, just a wood and metal, since I already have all that stuff. Anyways, center my view. Did I duplicate you? Because you're like an abomination. Let's get rid of you. Let you remind me of my sins. Okay, Shift A, add mesh, cube. Set the cube radius to 0.5 so I don't have to manually do all that junk to resize it. Go to front view, edit mode, vertexes, and let's just grab this, go halfway up. That should be the size I was thinking. Cool, yeah, it's always fun to be able to make your own content for games, especially if the like within the game itself it supports that. It's always a fun thing. Let me just assign this to dungeon meshes, some materials, dungeon meshes. Go. What next? Do a rough unwrap. Yep, gross. So if we are going to use this as a lift, I do need to have bottom textures for it as well. So let's just get the top done first. So 7 for top view unwrap, and let's just scale this down. I know it's 32 by 32, which is one of these checker folks here. So just scale it roughly or be close enough. Shift S selected the pixels. That should be perfect. Yep, nice. Yeah, that's why I have this crazy grid on our default textures is just kind of a little aid to help me unwrap stuff. So now again, it's similar to how everyone was requesting me do it. I can just select these edges here. Control E, mark seam, back to face mode. Select all these edges. U, follow active quads. Okay. That just splits them off the sides there. I don't know if I probably don't need unique. I may or may not need unique UVs on the sides here. I can. Maybe for just 2 of the sides, I need unique UVs. That's getting hard to say for some reason. So let me just just make these non-unique. Get X32. Get X16. There we go. And for these, drop this one down. 48. It looks like get Y minus 48. Cool. There we go. And then I do want a unique texture for the bottom. Again, I can do a similar thing where I just delete this face. Then just duplicate the top. Snap it down there. Flip that around. move doubles, and then I can just manually drop this down, say -16. That was not nearly enough. There we go. So this should be some, again, I'm not super worried about packing this in too tight right now. I could, I suppose. Let me grab these. Cursor to selected, and rotate about the cursor, rotate it by 90. Get that, save this X32. There we go. Now I can move this face back up 16. So maybe it packs in a little tighter. Not super perfect, but it's probably okay for what we're doing. Fifth elephant, you can resize the map if on the editor. When you launch it, we give you a default size of 17 by 17, but you should be able to go level, resize level, and you can make it arbitrarily large. I think if you make it too big, we will stop rendering out parts of the level, but you should be able to make it pretty darn big. Okay, so let me real quick. I'm just going to just block in some colors so I know what I'm working with, kind of. So let me go to texture paint mode. Fill is fine. What an interesting trick you can do is you can go into edit mode, you can select a face, come back out, and then click this to mask your selection. So you only are going to fill in this face, which is nice because I say I want to fill it in with this wood color. Put this back over to paint, select, say, just the wood color, and then I can fill that in there. Tab, and then invert my selection, right? Let me just select all of the faces that aren't the top. Go back into texture paint mode with this still turned on. I can say select this color and then paint that brown. So we just have a rough estimate of what that's going to look like. I can just save that out, then pop over to Photoshop. I always forget. I thought Photoshop could hot load stuff like with F12, but it worked for me once and now it's not working. I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over it though, but yeah. Okay, so these are the sides, that's the bottom. What I want to do really quickly, use the pencil. I'm going to quickly just kind of block in lines. You can hold Shift to draw straight lines in Photoshop. It's handy because then you don't have to worry about being like good at drawing straight lines. You can let the computer do the work for you. There we go. Be careful though. You have to let go of Shift every once in a while. Turn on my grid. I love working with the grid. Just makes life easy. You can also just shift click if you want to do that way. I think the reason I'm working in Photoshop this time real quick is I do have a dither brush that makes life a little bit easier for me. Let me just select, say, those, then go back to my dither brush, select that dark color, then I can just draw in the dither like super quick. There we go. This is just a Photoshop brush with a texture on it. Nothing fancy there. But it does save me like the mind-numbing work of just like tapping out the texture. Cool. There we go. Let me also, I think I have some wood textures just laying around. I can just like totally cannibalize to make some interesting stuff for the top there. These all work. Why redo work I've already done? Paste. Maybe slam it there. I don't know. Maybe that'll work. Let me flip that vertical. And just slide this down. Yeah, whatever. Let me merge all these down, save, and then go back into Blender, and then reload it. Alt-R. Cool. Turn off mask. Yeah, that definitely has problems, but it's a quick way of getting to where I can start thinking about how I need to fix some of these problems. I probably want to add. I probably don't want the metal band to go all the way to the top. I probably want to have some wood around the sides. Let me see. You can shift select models, and then you can move them all as a unit. But you can't. I'm not sure of a way of easily moving around level geo. You can copy and paste level geo, but I don't know if you can actually easily easily move it around. Okay, so let's go down 8 from the top. That's halfway might be too much. Let's go down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's draw a line there. So that's easy, right? Right there. Chopping off along that line in the dither. The nice thing too is, oh no! So okay, so my UVs need to be fixed here real quick. That's easy to scale. Let me turn off. Let me scale not by the cursor, just by the vertices selected, and I can just flip them, just so that that my little UV trick here works like I think it will. There we go. Just really quickly, just drawing out these lines. Yeah, I only have to do 2 sides, which is nice. Let me think. Let me just kind of pull this wood texture on around. Okay. Also this, maybe this dark color here. I keep forgetting that I have it mirrored. I don't know why. Just real quick, I guess go back to my draw brush. I'm just going to start just painting this stuff in. Ooh, there's no. Oh, I goofed on that. Let me real quick. Let's fix that in Photoshop. I think I move this up 1. There we go. Dang it! Dang it! I'll lose all that work. Thankfully, it's not super hard to recreate. Okay. Actually, this might be a hacky way to do it, but let me think about what I can do is I can go to edit mode, then I can go Control R, and I can do some cuts here. And I get it. Actually, let me just do Control R once. Then I can slide this, but turn on correct UVs. Now I can just hit GG to slide this up. I say I want it right there. Okay, then Shift S, selection to grid. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mask off these faces real quick, and I'm going to just fill them in with color. So back into texture paint, and then mask, fill, and let's just select the neutral wood color, fill it, then go back to edit mode, And then let's go ahead and dissolve this new edge we just created. So Control E, loops, Control X, dissolve. There we go. So it was a little silly that I had to add additional geometry to quickly paint that in, but whatever. It worked. Actually, so this is recessed. Maybe it doesn't need as much of a highlight as the other ones do. If they even need a highlight at all, I don't know. I'm just trying to draw a bit of an edge there. So it's kind of cool, kind of doesn't make sense, I guess. It's just it has a metal bottom and a wood top. Why would this be? Hmm. Let me think. I guess. What about just a little bit of a detail here? I thought that would help it be more interesting. Playing around, trying to figure out why I'm not liking this. Might be too busy. Maybe the inside bottom could be hollow to show the wood. Oh, so are you suggesting something like, oh, kind of like, yeah, I think I know what you're saying. So let's go back to object mode. I think Chad is suggesting something like, what if the fake cut I put in earlier, maybe what if that was a real cut? I can do something like that. Then Shift S, a selection to grid over here. I just want to really quickly do a Shift S again, pixels to selected to pixels. Make sure that the UVs didn't get messed up in that process. I can select this top face. I can hit Control plus to extend the selection to all the sides. Hit Y to rip it, which basically makes it just separate geo. I think Alt Shift H hides everything but my selection. I can again just do the quick trick of duplicating this, dropping it down, then flipping the normals. Alt H to unhide stuff, and then what I can do, Control 7, go to bottom view, and select this bottom face and inset it. So hit I for inset. I want to say inset it maybe 4 pixels. There seems good. Shift S, selection to grid, and then actually I can probably just well, I have this texture space I can do something with. Let me just separate that and then just move it up on the Z until it's there. And quick and dirty, I can just I just move this stuff around. Not super. I don't sound super convinced to myself, but I think I can do it. Let me snap to vertex, get X, snap that there, and just kind of. There we go. Wrong axis, Joshua. Cool, there we go. So that's I gotta hide that for the time being. I think that's kind of what you're meaning, Chad. 5th elephant says it'd be cool if the editor allowed you to select an area and then reduce the map size to the selection. Yeah, actually, that would be a cool feature. Okay, let me see. Cool. Hacky and janky, but I think it's working okay. I feel like there should be sort of like cross support, but that might be too much detail. I could use the extra texture space I have to just do like a plane with alpha to imply that. That might be okay. Beautiful. Yeah, it's nice you can block that out pretty darn quick. I don't. I'm trying to think. E1 M2. That is. Let me just refresh myself. Hopefully, folks don't mind if I take a quick little diversion. Oh, come on. Hopefully I think my old computer should be able to handle streaming quick. What was it? Map U1 2? Oh yeah. Definitely remembering this. Real quick, let me. Try to see if I can get a view of the whole level here. Yeah, you've got I think the broad strokes of the level blocked out pretty quick. That's cool. Sorry, folks. I'm comparing 5th Elephant linked something in chat where he's blocking at this map in Delver, which is pretty cool. Cool. So Death Unbound is asking what object am I working on? So Chad suggested I work on a it's kind of like a platform. So let me go into. Let me just play a little bit of Delver. I've been talking and kind of working. Hopefully, I've been somewhat productive. But let me play a little bit of Delver so folks can see what it's like. Actually, let me real quick. Let me see if I can get to the version that's not broken. Let me save all this stuff. And then, do I have unchanged? Yeah, I do have changes. I haven't. Delver changes. Yeah. Let me just commit this all real quick. So, whip props. Commit. Sync. And let me just go back to the main development branch of Delver because that's a little bit more stable because I haven't broken everything there yet. So let me just go back there. And let's play a little Delver. Start a new game. There we are. Yeah, so this is the start area. It's a little campfire. There are some shops you can buy stuff with. So when you die, your gold persists between runs. This guy tells you lore. This guy plays music. So let's go down into the dungeon. Yeah, I typically I don't know, like breaking crates is something that like it makes your weapon worse, and we don't really have a very high loot drop rate, so I'm kind of conflicted, you know. Like they're there to smash, and it feels nice to smash stuff, but I know it's ultimately not to my benefit. Attack seems solid. Ooh, lucky dagger. Yeah, no, Chad, you rebalanced out the unique drop rate, but it still feels a little high at times. Ooh, armor of the eagle. 2 armor plus 4 speed. Let's go for speed. Auto map, and I'm out. Let's just pitch it. Yeah, so this is what Chad is talking about. So these wooden platforms, actually, I might just want to keep them, you know, like health is fine. We've gotten a lot of use out of them, really. They function as just kind of ways of spanning gaps like this. But I think we could also use them as like elevator parts as well. Maybe if I just added more detail. Right now it's feeling kind of blech. Or I could just do a reskin of this to have just like metal braces, maybe. Maybe that would make more sense. I just got lucky in the fact that it happened to show the part I was looking for. Otherwise I would have jumped down to the sewers. I can see if I can not blow myself up. There we go. Yeah, the fire wands pack, they're like a mix between a rocket launcher and a grenade launcher. But I think on the greater fire wand, the area effect is a little bit big and the damage is a little bit too high, because you can definitely kill yourself pretty darn easy if you're not really paying attention. Let me see if I can get him with that though. Having said that, there we go. Nice. I might as well put that Dark Souls ring on. Why not? I should not have walked into that. Yeah, so the branch I was working on, a lot of these, like these little rocks and these little like crystals and mushrooms and grass is broken because I'm kind of in the middle of converting. This is the old way of doing the first dungeon, and I'm kind of updating the first dungeon to have a new look and feel. And also we have better practices on how that stuff is organized, and I'm trying to follow those better practices. So we'll see how that goes. Let me... Still got me. Let me try drinking this. Okay, that slowed me down. Let's try drinking this. That's cola. Okay, well, the cola didn't fix me, but it's offsetting the damage from the poison, so that's good. Let's try... Come on, slow. Trying to find this next level down, which maybe this way. Oh, yeah, this is a set piece where it's like a tavern hall room that I built by hand. It has some room over room stuff, and that's just faked out with mesh geometry. So if you go up here, you can go through this door, and then you have kind of this upstairs view of the tavern. It's really dark, so you can't really see super well. I guess I can equip this candle. Get a slightly larger light radius. I guess the nice thing is though, like this is all destructible. Pretty sure. Yeah, there we go. I got a little hurt by that flying tankard, but I'm okay. Maybe the... Yeah, there we go. Cool, thank you for the kind words, Free Day 12345. Yep, so you have... So right now the current layout is there are 2 dungeons for each theme, and for some reason our... Chad, have you noticed this as well, where the particle emitter for the torches are off? Yeah. Are they off by a constant amount in world space, maybe? I'm not sure. In theory, if your timing is right, you can knock magic out of the air with melee attacks and reflect it back towards the attacker. My timing is terrible. And every time I try to show it off, I just end up dying. Cool. So yeah, you can see, unfortunately, a lot of this design is just basically like room corridor, and that's pretty basic level design. So I want to try to have more interesting ways of making this stuff fit together, because how the room builder works is we create like a 5x5 grid, and we draw a route through it, and then we place rooms for each cell in the route depending upon the shape of it. So if it's an end, or if it's a hall or an intersection, we have room pieces that fit that. But it's not a smart system per se. It plops down any room. So in the ruin area, the last area of the game, I should say, I intentionally created connections that aren't normally there. So sometimes the room configurations will line up so that it creates extra routes and stuff. Also, you control where the rooms meet. They don't always have to meet at a hallway. I'm thinking about maybe having the new dungeon area, having them meet at almost maybe a room, or I don't know, something that's less constrictive. Again, lots of ideas to prototype. Like the starting a new area is fun, but it's also like creatively it's a lot of work trying to design like the look and feel of something that's different than what we already have. Like once I have that locked down, it's pretty easy just to crank out stuff for it. Bow. See if I can get this guy. Whoa. Apparently I can't. And for some reason, the RNG has been terrible to me, and I have found no new melee weapons. Or maybe, what's this? This is one of Tesla Coil's. Is this overpowered? Oh, not well. Oh crap! So I think this is Tesla Coil's. He made a staff, and it has a lot of charges, but as you can see, the spread on the charges or on the shots are pretty crazy. So I'll play with this for a little while because it's fun. But yeah, this is community content. I downloaded it off the workshop. So is that. Yeah, I'm really impressed with how dedicated the community members are to trying to maintain some semblance of balance with like not making super overpowered stuff. It's really cool. Yeah, because getting this thing to do what I want it to do is kind of impossible, but it's kind of cool also. Okay, there we go. Second level down to the mysterious merchant. There we go. So I think last update also we added that these shopkeeps can actually do little like blurbs, which is something we can certainly, which was new. But also like they have a secondary blurb now, which is much shorter, so it's not you don't always have to go through a big lore dump every time you want to buy something. So that was a nice affordance that Chad put in there. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's a hard thing, right? Getting eyeballs in front of a product is challenging, you know? Okay, that doesn't want to be broken. Okay, so is this... All right, well, I think I should try to get maybe a little bit more work done and then call it a day. Maybe I'll go maybe 20 more minutes. Let me think. Cool, yeah, no, definitely that's cool. Yeah, no, like modding was how I got interested in game development. So I'm really excited to see what people pick up and do with it. Yeah, that just feels so vanilla compared to, I think. Did I put it here or is it still in the sewer? Sewer scene. Yeah, right here. Yeah, I just like the little wood planks on top. I think that is a nice little touch. Let me see. I could do just a quick reskin of this. Let me. How do I duplicate it and then I move it? But how do I move it to? Oh, I do have to bring up the outliner. I want to move it to a different scene entirely. So sewer. Yeah, I think I can do it just by drag and drop maybe. Exit isolation mode. I have this duplicated. Sewer scene. Wood bridge. I want to move that to refresh. Done. No. Don't want to reparent. Drop object to scene. Yeah, it seems like my blender is not behaving. I don't know why. So can I parent it to this cube? I can. Move scenes. Why can't I move it? Okay. Well, apparently Blender is too smart for me. Hmm. Back here to dungeon refresh. Let's do some image searching real quick. Let me do. I always get nervous doing image searching on streams because even though I type in something innocuous, something like offensive may come up. So I'm looking for like wood and metal planking. It's always like clicking like random stuff on streams is always kind of danger. Um, uh, uh, hmm. Yeah, I think. I think I like the idea of having like just these wooden planks on top of metal rafters. I think that would work for what I'm doing in the new area. I'm just boggled why I can't move this to a different scene. Okay. Hmm. Oh well. Well, I can probably pretty easily recreate it because it's not that the geo is not that complicated. Just popped up over here. Yeah, let's do that. Just see what it looks like. So. Okay. Let me just. For some reason, I don't like starting from scratch. So let me just Shift D, and then P to separate that, and then hide this bottom one. Top mode. Put to sewer meshes because I want to steal. That sewer meshes. Here we go. Yeah, I thought I'd be in UV edit mode. Sorry. I think I'm starting to get all talked out. Okay, star. Middle one, here's 1, 2. Do that. Let's make my snap to increment. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Project from view. I'll position this over here. Down. Should be roughly sized to fit here, okay. Maybe 1 unit. Let me just snap this real quick and see what my problem is. Oh, that seems okay. Yeah, that actually worked out okay. I was close enough. Sometimes being close enough is okay. Move it there. That's nice. And I can use that trick again where I just mark these edges as seams. And select these up. Row my selection, and then you follow active quads. Okay. Worked out fairly well. I think I do like that dark edge though, so let me try to keep that. One. Okay. Much. There we go. And I think I have some ends down here for this stuff. Position it up here. Spot that feels okay. I think that, yep, that's correct. Cool. Again, just rotating and positioning these UVs. They already should be roughly the correct scale. I'm just moving into this the sheet where they make sense. Okay. Again, I can just duplicate, pop it down there, doubles, flip normals, plank. All that work for a plank. Okay. And for this one, I made a copy and just hit it. I'm going to maybe grab my plank, put it up here. If I just kept this piece, probably okay, right? Control I to select the inverse, X, delete pieces. There we go. Probably too thin. Again, trying to keep proportions correct is more of a feel than real real hard like empirical thing I can quantify. Unfortunately, it's nice to have rules and just follow them, but sometimes you have to discover them. Okay. Nice. Where's this? Okay. Yep. Let me just fix these real quick. Select edge rings, mark seam, base, selective quads. Yep. And these are just going to be fast and dirty, but hopefully that works for the time being. Oh, and there's still a face there I missed apparently. Oh, because it was hidden. Let me delete that face as well. Okay. I think that's quite right. There we go. Should be correct. I want to pull them in just a little bit so the planks can rest on it. So there we go. So I was using the L key to select linked, and if you don't remove double vertices, it will only select a singular face. There we go. Have this. I just live on top of them for the time being. That's odd. Just throw it there because I don't really care. I'm just prototyping stuff out, just trying to get a feel for it if I'm actually liking the direction this is headed, which I may or may not. Maybe a little bit of angle on these is okay. Like again, it's the collision is approximate, so maybe. Trying to figure out what I don't like. Are these too big? This is it just might be a proportions thing that's messing me up. I think that's closer. Maybe this one's canted just a little too much. It's nice when it's not 100% perfect, because your eye is really good at detecting like the pattern. So you want, I don't know, like I can see it both ways, I suppose. Like man-made stuff typically has nice repetition because like we have ways of making things uniform and perfect like that, but also a little bit of variation is nice too. Just trying to flip back and forth and see. Yeah, I think yeah, I need to figure out maybe off off stream I'll figure out how to move that silly mesh from one scene to another. Or maybe it's just the version of Blender I'm using that, who knows, way to do it. Then I'll just maybe do a quick, I can stuff the texture somewhere in here as a wood and metal. And again, I'm thinking about doing alt textures. In Delver, you can specify more than one texture or more than one mesh for any given like mesh object, and it will pick between the two. So if I do both, I get a decent amount of variation. That's the kind of thought there. I think I need to call it a stream. I'm getting kind of tired. Like my brain is fried, and I feel like I'm rambling. So I apologize for that. I think I've had a fairly productive stream. I've got some stuff that I may not love, but stuff that I'm moving forward on, and I'm liking the direction where it's going. So thank you everybody for hanging out with me while I work. I appreciate that. Hopefully your workday was a little bit better, just hanging out and talking about game dev. I want to thank the people who bought in Delver. That actually helps directly financially support me. So that means the world to me. This has been a bonus stream. So if you want to watch me stream regularly, I do it every Sunday from noon to 2 o'clock a specific time. So today was a little bit longer than usual. I think if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Joshua Skelly. I'll let you know when these bonus things come up, if they come up. But I'm trying to be better about that. You can follow Delver at Delver Game on Twitter. There's a Facebook page, if Facebook is your thing. We're Delver Game Official. I keep meaning to do Mod Mondays, but I keep forgetting because I don't know, because I'm tired and I have a 1-year-old and I don't know. But thanks everybody. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Have a good rest of your week.